The scene that changed Turning Red. It's this scene. It's this scene right here. I mean, it didn't just change Pixar's latest movie, Turning Red. It, broke it, I guess. Or it certainly broke the internet for a while. But why? How? What's even going on? Usually for this scene breakdown series, I like to pick my absolute favorite scene in a movie. Usually for Pixar, it's that emotional, swinging one on some revelation that fixes the whole plotline. And this is meant to be Turning Reds. Honestly, I prefer the dad sitting down and talking scene, but forget it! The scene opens up when, I guess actually it just interrupts the scene. Our main protagonist, Maylene, has finally come to accept herself for who she is, choosing to keep her red panda inconveniences. She can turn into a red panda, you should know this. Now keep up. This isn't the sad pits before the final act, as Maylene's resolving her arcs right now. She feels free flying through the air above the street. She's reaching her goal event of the 4-town concert and making amends with her best friends who she abandoned earlier. And wow, she's even resolving things with her high school bully. Just took exposing his closeted interests. Also, you can bet this is one of those crumbly remains of Disney execs shredding down any LGBT material. Anyway, as Maylene comes to accept herself and enjoy the boy band play, in comes Mother. Spoilers at this point. If you're not really in the know, she's
big.
A full-on kaiju, coming closer and closer as the kids are starstruck with some pretty fantastic expressions throughout. But she needs a moment to actually arrive. In the meantime, it's boy band time, with each of the 5 members corresponding to each of our characters' obsessions. Not just as favorites, but literally as role models to each of them to a certain degree. You ever notice that? Abby does the same pose, Miriam is also the skater kid, and hey, this probably inspired all of Tyler's basketball interests. Anyway, the performance begins. With a song I legit cannot stop playing on loop in my head. Please help me. It's the embodiment of everything May desires. I mean, she's literally reaching up to the angelic status of lead singer Jessie, who's positioned like a literal god portrait. Rest in peace to all the heads May stepped on to reach this point. But then... The tears of joy shatter into fear as the camera swerves and zooms to the looming Godzilla face above. Great use of scale. And I love how immediately frantic the boys have all become. In case you want some context, this red panda thing is a genetic family thing, and all the older generations sealed their pandas away. But the mum very recently just broke her seal out of pure anger, and her disobeying child. That's it, you're caught up.
Where are you?
And now, flipping the perspective from up here, we get Ming's point of view, another plus for scale. The movie tactically skips out on the 8-minute sequence of her eyeing aimlessly around the crowd with her poor Gen X eyesight. And man, I love the animation movements of this film. It's so refreshing to see a lean into this cartoony style. Everything's looking more diverse these days on art styles. Or maybe I just have a thing for the Fix-It Felix-like movements. Anyway, it all comes to a head here. This film's been a relatively low-stakes slice-of-life movie with some fantastical elements put in, but it's the final act, baby, so time to get some action in there. And maybe some emotional weight in there a little bit.
I want a refund.
This, however, is my least favorite line in the movie. I don't know why, something about the delivery just grinds my gears. Is this really how you'd utter this line when a gigantic monster is crashing above you? Whatever. Time for a fight scene, so all of May's extended family have arrived. There is no security in this stadium. And dozens are dead. But hey, this composition looks great.
I told you she was big.
That big?
And this is great too. Throughout this movie, there's just so much expression in every word uttered. It's truly a marvel to see. Not to mention, director Domi Shi went absolutely ham throughout this movie to add some spice into every moment. I can list 1,000 examples. The change in lighting and focal length whenever May is sweating over a secret, the maintained animation poses whenever a character is shocked, all the small details of where May's tears and sweat always ends up. Seriously, this movie is just an elongated liquid simulator. Or look at when the dad is cooking. Oh my god, I love this dad character. He is my favorite. I will die for this man. Anyway, it's time for the conflict. Mum's gone so mad she'll grip May up hundreds of feet in the air. Though I do like this next line.
Where are your parents? Put some clothes on.
Very parent. And the boys are still flailing. But now it's time for the thematic message of it all. The panda stuff is just spectacle, really. very fuzzy spectacle.
This isn't you!
This is me!
Maybe told a little more aggressively than most emotional Pixar scenes, this is the crux of the movie. It's a coming-of-age movie, the conflicts of a 13-year-old girl with some panda fantasy on the side. This is kind of emblematic of Pixar as a whole right now, going on its own coming-of-age phase. I mean, these last 4 movies have been deeply personal slice-of-life discovery stories pretty heavily based on the lives of their directors, especially for the last 3 films. And that's different. I won't lie, I haven't been the most on board with Pixar lately. I don't know why. I thought Onward was bland apart from the final act. I thought Soul was good apart from the final act. Luca I enjoyed, but it's not a Pixar masterpiece. And Turning Red I've really gotten into, but again, it's not one of Pixar's greatest. I mean, I guess this is a good trajectory since I like each installment more than the last, but this is a scary time for Pixar. They've become overtly more personal, but it's hard to follow up on their iconic track record. Still, opening the doors to more groups of diversity is a very welcome addition. Be they Italian kids in a small harbor town or Asian Canadians dealing with a culture conflict. You don't need to experience an exact childhood to relate to these characters. We all felt a connection to a sentient pair of binoculars over a decade ago. The messaging can still ring true for each of us. Existential confusion, trying to fit in, fatherly guidance, or prepubescent self-discovery. I'm very much not the, as they say, target demographic, but still got hella into this movie regardless. I think people on the internet just get weird and uncomfortable at certain topics. Though why this scene actually turns the film around on people, we haven't actually reached yet, so let's move on.
I like boys! I like loud music! I like gyrating!
What now? And so the conflict continues. Mum's not in the mood for talking, and at her scale, there's no doors to passive-aggressively slam in her child's face. Time to get the whole family involved.
Where's Jin? Jin!
Hey! Keep her in the circle!
Oh, I love this man. He ain't got any powers, but he's so good. In fact, part of the reason we're now dealing with this conflict in action form is because we've already had the emotional sad pit moment earlier. Just before the panda sealing ritual taking place on May, she was feeling stressed, and the dad made an appearance to calm her nerves. After all, he is one of the few people to actually spot May's anxiety. Everyone else is pretty wrapped up in themselves. So, he accidentally discovers May's camcorder, and usually this is a plot point for anger as a parent learns the secrets and misbehavings of their child when out of view, but he doesn't take it that way. He sees his daughter as merely having fun, in an infinitely better mood than as she stands tonight. So he talks to her about it. It's not a big argument, there's no panda fantasy element at all. It's just a human man talking to his human child.
Did you make this?
Here, I'll erase it.
For Ming, this might be a source of disobedience, something to start a lecture about, but to Jin, it's a treasure, a core memory to keep hold of despite the controversies, and it's ultimately still a part of her.
People have all kinds of sides to them, and some sides are messy.
He then goes on to foreshadow a little bit about the mum's panda and talk about the backstory of how Ming and the grandmother got into a fight over the disapproval of him. But that's all there is to this scene. It's not incredibly profound. In fact, it's pretty simple, really. Just hitting directly on that theme of finding oneself and accepting it. Ending on one final point of validation and the freedom to act upon it.
Erase it if you want, but this side of you made me laugh.
That's the emotional scene. It's sweet. It's grounded. It's stark from everything else in this movie for just being ordinary. You don't need a collection of giant red pandas to strike the hearts of viewers. A little bit of validation is all you need. God, I love this man. By the way, you should totally check our Twitch or other links if you want to see my thoughts like this early. Or just full on subscribe here if you haven't already. I do things everywhere, TikTok included now. But we're back in the present again, and the family are setting up a new panda sealing ritual. I love how this shaman struggles to get high enough for Ming. It's a joke that's been done before, but I almost want a little more of this. Make a reference to him being old and fragile, realizing he has all the more stairs to climb, just one more time in the middle or something. Anyway, this is the scene that changed Turning Red, right? Up to this point, the internet has been a little weird on the movie, some thinking it's unrelatable because it's a young middle school girl. Oof, Pixar. Others saying it's just low stakes and uninteresting, which, fair. I've also heard some people knocking down how over the top the mum is, but Unfortunately, that's a real-life thing for some people. That Mermaid Stall scene has never made me secondhand cringe so much before. And the poor dude basically never comes back again. And some call this entire movie cringe because of the cast, but I think it's pretty accurate. Certainly not, ew, no, look away kind of material. But then there's this moment, the thing that really splits audiences in half.
How could you be so crass?
This whole time, the mother's been fighting not only against abuse of the panda power, but also against the less reserved nature of her daughter. No suggestive doodlings in a scrapbook, no boys' parties, no concerts. Her daughter is to be raised as she was herself, strictly and under an intense eye. Even other girls is a borderline no-no.
You guys better go. But no buts, Mir. My mom already doesn't like you.
Wait, she doesn't?
Or maybe that's a tomboy thing. It's just a throwaway gag. But now it all comes to a head with this.
Oh, that's nothing. You want to see crap?
This is the make or break of Turning Red. This is literally the scene that changed Turning Red in many people's eyes. Oh, it's so disgusting. 13-year-old shakes her ass around in a Pixar movie? Oh, no, that's disgusting. So some people say it's just too cringe. No 13-year-old actually does that. Spoilers, they kinda do. After years and years of boys will be boys on screen, sneaking out and being themselves, now suddenly a girl is doing it. So many on the internet seem to be so up in arms about it. And it's totally because she's just a goyle. And to those saying she's cringe, yeah. All kids are cringe. TikTokers nowadays look cringy with their dances. Old Vine kids look cringy with their catchphrases. We all used to spout like a boss and for the win and verbalize rage comics unironically. Tumblr kids wrote fanfiction. Everyone copied what they saw on TV. Whether you can watch it or not, young people have always been cringy. And in being so crass, it's the exact middle finger May can use against her helicopter parent. Now, the fact that this is the single thing that gets the mother to stay in the ritual circle and she never seems to notice what everyone else is doing is kinda stupid. She's not really thinking in the moment, but she is literally red with rage right now, so I just went with it. Is this the best retaliation Pixar's ever made? No, but is it still entertaining in an unexpected way? Hell yeah, I think this is kind of funny.
Stop singing now!
Ladies,
And it comes along with the action. The ritual is fueled by song, any song. You probably know where this is going considering the location, and demonstrated pretty upfront from Miriam's perspective shot, until it's too much for the mother.
stop it!
Now occasionally giving us this spectacle angle, as is great for kaiju setups. Just a loose camera fixed from its view, looking and zooming around. And as we're up close, we get the superhero pose shot of May, followed by this great shot drone oneer spinning around Ming and getting those two Toronto landmarks in the background. Is the moon just a generally great shot. All the while we get the very core cultural conflict in Ming's dialogue.
I put my family first! I tried to be a good daughter!
The complete clash between the collectivism approach that comes from Chinese family dynamics and the individualism nature of society in the West. All the while, Ming's fundamental flaw here is through the complete lack of observation on her front. At the start of the movie, May was getting fantastic grades and she continued to help at the temple, and yet here she looms calling May a bad daughter, forever downplaying her successes and highlighting her failures, ignorant of the actual desires or happiness of her child, and never ever actually listening to her, forever in denial of her child growing up and losing her because of it. Yeah, I'd be pretty angry with all those unrealistic expectations too. And so...
Sorry, I'm not good enough! Sorry, I'll never be like you!
The art style briefly changed into this black and white aesthetic for those anime flourishes that directors mentioned behind the scenes, as well as the anime action lines. Funnily enough, same thing happens when Mum first becomes her panda too. Still, it's the sad realization portion of the argument, as damage has been done, and both sides didn't really mean for things to get this heated. History repeats itself, as the very same thing happened between the mother and grandmother a generation ago. Or so they say. The implication's there with the scar, but they never properly lean into it. Is that subtlety or a missed opportunity? The mum is passed out of the circle as they're running out of blood moon time, and for the first time, the grandmother recognizes the two are going down the same bad ending she had. The younger one hurt the mentor, and they forever become more distant on the other side of these changes. But it's time to break the cycle.
Sunny, give me strength.
It's a family revelation, though why are the other pandas bigger than May's? I get that Ming is just extra
Destructive. And big.
but they would have all been teenagers when they turned. Did the pandas age over the decades while sealed, or would 15-year-old May's panda just be gianter than a 13-year-old one? Whatever. I like how the scar remains on the grandmother panda. Wonder if the scar happened in panda form instead. We'll never know. And together with their combined strength and Jin now, I guess, just sitting out, not caring for his wife. Seriously, this could have been like a great joke of tiny him pulling, but also a genuinely wholesome moment. Why did he care for the aunties when his queen literally just back-smashed concrete? Come on, man. The family drags Ming back to the circle. And if any song is needed, of course... Also, great little detail how the old school Cantonese singing complements great with the modern 2002 boy band sound font. The perfect mixing of both working together for a shared goal. Man, maybe I'd go to concerts if songs had action sequences where singing is the answer. Very cheesy, but we have the CG projectors to do that these days, right? And of course, it all leads to... the spirit world, the real emotive climax scene. But first, can I just say, look at this aesthetic. The bamboo, sure, is lovely and spiritual, but look at the distortions as things go further back. This is a physical thing that can happen to the lens within a camera when it fails to focus all colors onto the same point. It's called chromatic aberration, and honestly, it's messing with my eyes. If there's one thing Pixar goes above and beyond on the small cinematographic details, it's recreating the effects of a physical camera on a digital camera. This is a forced, intentional effect, making the bamboo shoot seem ethereal, practically transparent, and very spiritual in nature. It's just a brilliant use of camera technique. And as May searches the spirit forest, she finds another teen crying. It's her mother from when she was a teenager. Whoa, now we're getting into the good territory.
I'm sorry. It's all my fault.
Taken back to her youth when she too was going through her transitional time. This is a great premise to found your heart-to-heart, not as mother and daughter, but as equally unsure girls, opening the parallels to making them essentially the same. Going through history as it repeats itself. You think she's apologizing to May, but she's actually talking about her mother, referencing the scar over her eyes.
I'm just so sick of being perfect. I'm never gonna be good enough for her.
It's the exact same toils May's been going through.
But it isn't true.
And May, having now accepted herself, can now assist with her mum on her internal conflicts. And maybe together they can address their own personal disagreements.
Come on.
Or I guess they can just walk off. That's fine, still a cool concept. What follows next is that classic shot of a simple line of sight disruption being the cue to transition up. And Ming ages up, first to young adult and then to the form we all know. Personally, I thought there was a whole scene missing here. I don't know, I feel maybe more than like 2 lines each could have been appropriate, since this isn't a heart-to-heart for May and Ming. It's healing the emotional damage between the mother and grandmother, which is also good. But can we not have both? And so May brings Ming back to the rest of the group. They're not aged down, they're not internally damaged, but a change has been made. After seeing the bad ending spiral from her daughter and granddaughter and how distant they may soon become, she can help heal at least a little of the wounds of the past. A little hug and validation is all a vulnerable child needs sometimes.
You don't have to apologize. I'm your mother.
All the while, she's already accepting of her granddaughter to allow her to take the next steps in keeping the panda. Why? I don't know. They do always say your relationship with your grandchild is less strained than your direct child. Or maybe she's just fearful of having to take that headbutting mood herself. Whatever the case, she gives her blessing.
May Sunny guide you and keep you safe.
And that's all she wrote. This also feels kinda quick. At this point, everyone enters the dimensional portal that splits their pandas away, leaving just Ming and May. And with one last bout of rebellion, May claims,
I'm changing, Mom. But I'm scared it'll take me away from you.
Me too.
okay, I guess this is the setting for the heart-to-heart, with a literal divide down the middle of the stage. Okay, I can get into that. And Ming finally turning around, saying the words May's needed to hear.
You are so hard on yourself. And if I taught you that, I'm sorry.
It's simple. Grounded, even. The very thing I liked about the dad scene earlier. Is it the scene that makes you sob like Pixar films used to do? No, not really. I think they're coming away from that, honestly. For some people, this will really resonate. Me personally, I find it enjoyable. Though I like the spirit world idea being used a bit more. More heart-to-hearts from the young stages, grandma included maybe, but this still does the job. And just like that, Ming grants May her freedom and doesn't jeopardize their relationship doing so. And as one final guest, Sun Yi appears to give her blessing too. In her creepy, smiling, hugging ways, showing the full moon unredded, the only two who kept themselves in fighting form. Though shouldn't her panda look a lot more angry and battle-worn? Whatever. One nose nuzzle later and the happy ending cues. Relationships mended, Canadian Blue Jays referenced, and a nuanced balance of cultures comes together as the best case scenario. Oops, this went on a little longer than intended. This scene isn't my personal favorite. It's also like 4 or 5 scenes combined together. But taking our title format literally, this is the scene that changed Turning Red. Do I think it's bad and cringe? No. At the same time, I don't think this is one of Pixar's masterpieces either. It's a decent film, very charming, but also quite predictable, and a worthy addition to the Pixar library. It really resonated with me. It's charming, you know? But maybe I'm just less of a fan of the non-crying personal story approach. Still, I guess Pixar's on a good track record since I've liked each of the last 4 Pixar films subsequently more and more. High hopes for Lightyear. But tell me your thoughts. I've already heard some reviews split down the middle, and hopefully this video doesn't anger too many people. For what it is, it's pretty good. Yes, this is my new way of sneaking in a review, essentially. For now, my name's been Dazz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.